Yeah. So another game you actually mentioned, Eddie, was Apex Legends. Did you guys hear about that crazy Apex Legends hack that just happened this weekend, 4th of July weekend?
Yeah, yeah. That was. I think the servers were going crazy. Yeah, people were talking about it all on
Yeah.
Twitter. Yeah,
For those that don't know, so Apex Legends got hacked. If you're an Apex Legends player, there's no way you didn't see this happen. So Apex Legends got hacked by a hacker that was almost like he was protesting Titanfall having too many hackers. And the whole idea was he hacked the different playlists, so the game modes within Apex, and those game modes basically you couldn't click on any of them, and the one that was able you were able to click on it basically just said, go to, I think it was like free or savetitanfall.com and like donate or help or force the developers to force EA to do something about Titanfall because it has too many hackers and too much of the focus is on Apex Legends. So in turn, to protest there being too many hackers, these guys go and hack Apex Legends, and it was literally unplayable. First, they came up on PC,
Yeah.
and then but it actually started showing up on Xbox and on PlayStation. Like a lot of those games were showing the change in the texts. Like if you were able to actually get into a game and you won the game, or at the end of the game, it would say that it was like, congratulations, go to savetitanfall.com. And at that point, it was just like really crazy to see that the hacker problem is getting so bad in some of these games that people are literally hacking to get the developers' attention. What do you guys think about
Yeah,
this?
you
I think it was really interesting that they went to that extent, but at the same time, it's kind of stupid, right? Like,
I mean, you
pretty
know,
stupid.
it was the old Titanfall people because wasn't like the whole thing in the beginning with like the charge rifle and all that. That was from
yeah, I
Titanfall.
mean, Apex Legends is in the Titanfall universe. Yeah.
Yeah,
So
Yeah,
that's why I'm like, it's crazy. That's weird, dude. That's really weird, man.
yeah, what do you think, Serge?
yeah. I don't know. I feel like hackers have always been a problem, and the companies have never really invested into. I guess Valorant did a little bit, right? A few other games have really invested into it, but I feel like it has to be more of the norm to invest into hackers, into preventing hackers, because
Antivirus.
it really affects your game and it affects your community. Just like you said, like there's just people getting hacked left and right, games getting hacked. These are people who want to go home and play their games, and you're kind of messing up their their free time, or maybe they only have a few hours to get something done, and this is their stress relief. So it's kind of like you're kind of ruining people's days for you trying to get your point out. In this sense, I guess the saving Titanfall is cool, but there's other ways to do it. I don't think this is gonna make them do it.
Yeah.
They're just gonna find some way to prevent the hacking,
Yeah.
and that you just kind of lost out on
Yeah,
that.
and I think,
Yeah.
I mean, I could point out too that the biggest hacks that happen on Titanfall are DDoS attacks, which is just like them just constantly
Yeah.
pinging it to make all the players like move super slow, or like so they can glitch through stuff, and or even just like aimbotting, right? Like you have that in
Yeah.
practically all games now. You have aimbots and just people trying to hack the games just to get that win, to get that win at the end of
You're gonna
either a
get
battle
that.
royale. Yeah, it's messed up, dude. And but this hack for Apex Legends, it wasn't even that. It was just a straight up, I'm gonna hack the whole game and not make it playable for anyone, just so they can
Yeah.
feel
It's
what we're
pretty
feeling over at
fucked.
Titanfall. And I don't know, this is
Uh,
definitely gonna bring attention to them because EA and Respawn uh, tweeted out, and they're like, "Hey, we're looking into this, and we're gonna look into the problem with Titanfall as well." So it got their attention. It did what whoever this person or this team of guys did, like whoever it was, it accomplished what they set out to do.
yeah, but it's like Sergio said, like that's messed up because like there are some people that only look forward to gaming,
Yeah.
and like and especially their favorite game, and then if it's off, they get those couple hours to like think or whatever the stuff. It could be bad. So like, yeah, people gotta think about that when they freaking shut down a whole video game.
Yeah,
And shit, so
it's
Yeah.
interesting because we had a block party for 4th of July, and I was out there, and some of the like younger guys, like 13, 14, they're like, "Oh yeah, Apex Legends got hacked. We can't play anymore." And it sucks. Like they planned it for 4th of July weekend because they know the kids are at home and all they're doing is playing video games. Like, all right, we're gonna
Yeah.
show them that we mean business. And
Get your ass
Yeah,
out.
like they. I mean,
That's
if they're talking about it, everyone's talking about it, right? Because that's a big deal.
Yeah.
Apex Legends is like it started. It just now started surpassing Fortnite in ratings of player base and like concurrent players. So it's rising
Yeah.
still. It's doing really well. It's not falling off yet. And
Yeah, it's not-
to get them at this point on a long weekend when they're supposed to have so much the most concurrent players at a time, like they knew what they were doing.
I heard
Yeah, for sure.
you know,
Yeah.
as a whole.
Yeah, so for all that, I mean, we see this issue with a bunch of games, but I think EA responding to it was good, just because EA has got a lot of flack lately, right? So especially
As they should.
what was that?
As they
Yeah,
should.
as they should. Yeah. They EA. I mean, just 10 years ago, EA was probably the best developer in gaming, right? Like
Number
Yeah.
one.
nothing.
Easily.
Everything had to go through a,
Easy.
be it sports games, be it Star Wars games. Well, up until recently, Apex Legends is the only thing they really had going for them. Like their other big game was supposed to be Star Wars Squadrons, and that fell off pretty quickly. Like last month, it was for free on PlayStation. Like
Yeah, I know that's
Yeah.
crazy.
yeah,
bro.
less than a year that game was out, and it was already free. So
It's like you said though, when you really think about it, EA had freaking every sport. It had Fight Night, it had FIFA, it had fucking NBA Live, it had Madden, and then freaking it just fell apart. Like it's crazy, like the way it came down.
yeah,
Yeah, they definitely dropped the ball for sure. They were definitely top dog, especially with. I mean, they had what they have. They had Assassin's Creed. They
Yeah.
had Sims. They have
That's
Star Wars. They had literally they were tapped in every market. So yeah, they literally they were on top for a while. But hopefully those games do come back. So maybe some of those EA games will come back because they
yo, bring
probably
back Fight Night. Damn, man.
yeah, dude.
Everybody wants Fight Night back, man.
It just dude. It got so hard with. I'm guessing they had to pay so much money to all these people to get them in the game. So they're being stingy, dude, for sure, or something.
For sure. Same thing with NCAA. Goes back to that. It all comes back to the money at the end of the day. Sadly.
yeah. Speaking of NCAA, what do you guys think they'll do with that? Like, aren't there new rules now for NCAA and how like players can get paid and stuff too?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, hopefully they bring back NCAA football.
Yeah.
Oh, they brought it back, but they brought it back without the names, right?
Which is dumb.
Yeah.
And that's what they
Because
did.
that means
So,
just the schools
is
get
like-
the money.
yeah. So hopefully they bring back they add in the players, and then they definitely market. I saw that. I think 100 Thieves is asking, who are the best college gamers, so they can bring them on their squad
yeah.
and stuff like that. So yeah, so they're probably going to start adding in some players onto their teams.
Well, yeah, now they can get money off signatures, really almost anything. So I mean, why not have your name on a NCAA game and all that? And then even why don't you go to signings for it? You can get money right there off the signings real quick off the game. So why not? I mean, it's good. It's good for the fact that like now finally the athletes do get paid as they should, because these NCAAs make a gang of money. Don't
Sure.
get it twisted, way more money than they should, and the product players don't get nothing. So that's why it's messed up. Like that's not good. But now that everything's back and good, hopefully we get NCAA back. Hopefully even NCAA basketball, bro. That was one of the
Yeah.
coolest games.
Yeah, I'd like that for sure.
On defense, coming across half court, and like the whole crowd was cheering, and you got to lock down the defender. It was hard. That game was so dope. But yeah, hopefully we get it back.
Yeah, I think there's definitely we need to see some changes with sports games, because I mean we've talked about Madden to death on this podcast,
Horrible.
but like if we're not seeing
Yeah.
changes year over year, like someone needs to come up with different ways to play these games, right? Because
But why? Because
what was that?
there's no competition. There's only one person making each game each time. So it's like, why do I gotta compete with anybody?
Yeah.
I mean, you see,
It's
I was gonna say, you see shooters,
Oh, sorry.
develop like crazy. Like we wouldn't have had a Fortnite, right? Or an Apex Legends if everyone was just making the same type of game. But how come we can't see it with sports? I think the biggest like turn away from the traditional sports games was like the street games, right? You had NBA Street and NFL
Hell
Street
yeah.
and all those, and and
Oh,
those were the biggest like, hey, we're gonna introduce this new system of playing these games, and people love them, and I think there needs to be more room for that in gaming for sports
Yeah.
games.
because
I think. Yeah, go ahead.
it was so like over the top. Like when you think about NFL Street bouncing off the
Yeah.
walls and catching, it was like you could even appeal to children
Oh, yeah.
like that. Like, and children
Yeah.
will grow to like these players and love these players and continue their whole life looking up to these players. And that's where money comes into, and that's where like not a lot of these companies think about the long term effect. You know, like it comes into play a lot.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, and I like if I wanted to go see real basketball, I'm gonna go watch them on the TV. You know,
Yeah,
if I want to see something, I want to play a game. I want to play something that's kind of sometimes realistic in games is not great.
Yeah.
Personally, I feel like it's kind of dull. It just gets boring. If I'm
yeah,
gonna watch real sports, I'm gonna go see what's on TV. You know, so
exactly.
making NFL Street, all that stuff, jumping off the walls, doing all this stuff, it makes it fun, enjoyable, different.
Super.
It's not just watching basketball on the TV, the same thing, So it's just
Yeah.
they gotta just get away from the norm of just sports games being every team, do a whole season. It just gets kind of boring, man.
Why do y'all think the real reason they stopped it is? Because they were successful games. So I don't know why they stopped them. NFL Street and NBA Street. NBA Street, that freaking soundtrack is so memorable. Like when you certain songs in there, you're like, I fucking heard it in NBA Street. Like everybody said it.
Yeah.
I
don't know, man.
NBA Street got to like volume 3 and then it stopped, right?
No, I got to Home Court and then it stopped.
See, I never even heard of Home Court. Maybe it did fall off.
Well, because they started adding like freaking Super Mario Brothers.
Oh, that's right. Like they went off the deep end there.
A little too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, dude.
Yeah, but I feel like there's so much room for creativity with any type of sports games because when you're doing a realistic sports game, you can't really expand too much on your kind of what are you gonna do? Have them? It was nothing you could really do because it's all real, right? So you can't make anything up. So yeah, so it's I don't know. There has to be some formula.
Yeah,
people need to think out the box. It's not me. It's not me thinking out the box. It's people making the game. So I mean, I can't. Yeah, it's like people need to, I don't know. People are getting more content with. Okay, I guess in games.
I don't know. The money will start to go though. I mean, I know Madden. Like people buy up Madden every year, but most recently they started seeing a decrease in the sales for Madden. So if that continues next year, they got to switch it up.
Yeah.
They got to do something, adjust the gameplay, do something about it. Because I mean, people are kind of catching on that. Because not only that, there's people out there who will update the rosters for older Madden games and update the skills mods too. So so you can play older Madden games and have the most recent rosters.
Yeah,
like there's groups of people, like there's Discord servers out there where people are like constantly updating these to make sure that people don't have to buy the new Madden. They can just play the old ones and just download the rosters that these people create. And I mean that's really cool. That's really interesting to see. I think that Madden needs to get away maybe from the yearly game routine and go towards something like create like this long sustainable game that maybe you can pay for like a battle pass or something, like how you see with shooters where you pay for the season and then you can play through the season and you pay like $5 or $10 instead, but you have the base game that's the same. Like something like that would make sense to me because it's the service that you're paying for rather than a brand new game that you have to like download now just to get the new rosters and maybe like a little bit more graphics. You can see, I don't know, freaking sweat on the quarterback or something. Like they're making these little things that are just gonna, I don't know, they're not big enough changes to be worth $60. And even in the next generation, all those games are $70, right? For PS5 and Xbox Series X and S. Those are $70 games now. Like that's not worth it for, at least for me.
No, it's not. But it's because people got to be held accountable, man. It's like, like I understand, like there's these huge fans that fucking love everything and every single thing, and everybody's a huge fan of something, But if we don't hold people accountable, it's like any movie, it's like any musical artist, anything. If you don't hold people accountable for what they do, you don't tell them anything, they're gonna keep doing it and keep taking advantage of what they're doing because all you hear is yes man, yes man, yes man. So like, like you said, like how the numbers are going down with Madden. Like thankfully, because people aren't buying it. Like I haven't bought Madden. I used to buy Madden a lot, but it's just the game has just it just degraded so much. So it's like, not really.
Yeah, no, I think the same thing. Me and Eddie used to play NBA Live, all the time, dude. Like I loved sports games back then; they were fun. And now I vowed to stop buying sports games. I don't buy any sports games at all because I saw the cookie cutter. They weren't changing anything for years and years and years, and that people don't stop buying them randomly just because it's the new Madden. Like you're feeding into the problem. So people need to really see: is this really worth my money? Am I really getting something different? And if I'm not, like I said, you're feeding into the problem. So if you don't like the Madden, don't buy it. Exactly. Don't buy it. Like there's no reason for you to buy it. Like you can tell them to change things by taking their money. You take people's money, they'll make changes. So
that's the only way. Yeah. Exactly. That's the only way. If not, they're gonna keep going with it. Why? It's like in sports. Like if you go to the Knicks, why is he gonna have to spend all this money on all these star players? James Dolan, when he got sold out every single year. It's like, bro, at some point you gotta stop going to the games and like let people know, like fucking. Like, come on now. Like, it goes with everything, everything. It's not just singling out games. And, like, of course, we're big fans of these franchises and love these franchises. But that's why we love them, because we want them to do something different. Yeah, you got to hold them accountable. Yep. Yeah.
Like you said, there's ways to play the game without buying the new game. You could just update the rosters. If you don't like the new game, don't buy it. Like, don't just buy it just because it's the new one. Blindly. So,
yeah, and I think that goes back to... That goes back to what you guys were saying, that we need more competition, right? And I think, especially with Star Wars, I mentioned EA had Star Wars. They lost the licensing to Star Wars. So now there's going to be new developers creating Star Wars games, and there's going to be competition because now people have to go to Lucas Games and say, hey, I'm pitching this game to you based on the Star Wars universe, and then now they can say yes or no instead of only having to work with EA, only one developer. So I think a combination of both, like a lot of sports games falling off, this Apex Legends stuff that just happened, the hack, and then the problem with Titanfall, which they put a lot of money into Titanfall, right? Like I think all these things coming together is going to culminate in EA having to make changes, right? And having to do something about their games because they were on top for so long and now they're just kind of crumbling. They had to switch it up, and Apex Legends was their saving grace for too long now.
For sure.
Yeah.